On a gorgeous Monday, college basketball March Madness is just around the corner. And I tell you what, I'm feeling good today. Feeling good today. The only bad part of yesterday was last night. Last night got beaten fantasy basketball by some questionable tactics, but I slept on it. I'm over it. I'm moving on. So here we go. So, as I said, we're going to finish up the NFC today. And the way that some of this plays out, like I've been looking at some of these grades that people have been given. Yeah. ESPN is definitely just baiting. So, we're not going to go over that. We're going to look at everything for what it is. And we're going to start here in the AFC or the NFC East. We got the AFC done. If you missed that, go back, watch Friday's podcast. We are going to start in the NFC East. We're going to run down through the NFC. And we're going to look at some college basketball stuff. Definitely look at some NBA stuff as we're now middle of the way through March. I'm eating my lunch because I'm hungry. All right. The Dallas Cowboys. So, the Cowboys coming into the offseason had a good amount of needs. They needed cap space. They created that by restructuring Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and Tyler Smith. Created $40 million in cap space total. Yet, they're still in trouble. According to Over the Cap, they have $18 million in cap room left, which will give them the ability to sign their rookies. The top 5 teams with cap space still left: Chargers at $62 million, Commanders at $61 million, Titans at $57, Cardinals at $54, and the Seahawks at $44. Now, the Seahawks and the Chargers are both in the same boat. They are waiting on their contracts that they're going to have to start paying next year to roll around. So that's smart. The teams with the least amount of cap space, the bottom 5 right now, the Bills are over the cap again. The Bears only have $1 million of cap space. Vikings have $6 million. Jaguars have $7 million. And the Dolphins have $8.5 million. They got a lot of dead cap, though. The Saints have $113 million in dead cap. The Jets have 110. The Raiders now, with the trade for Crosby not going through, only have $52 million. So, honestly, some of these young teams are looking pretty good. The Texans actually, with how they opened everything up, have $31 million in cap space. They can still work stuff out. So when you look at the Cowboys, they went defense heavy. Jalen Thompson, the former safety for the Arizona Cardinals, signed a 3-year, $33 million deal. Kobe Durant, who couldn't figure it out with the Rams, is not going to figure it out with the Cowboys. It's not going to happen. Signed a 1-year deal for $5.5. Sam Williams, the defensive end, re-signed for a $3 million deal. Oti Ogbonia signed for a 1-year, $3 million deal. PJ Locke, the safety from the Broncos, they got on a 1-year deal. Sam Howell, they signed, the former Eagle backup quarterback, 1-year deal. Matt Hennessy signed. The terms of the details, and the details are still being worked out right now. And that is an offensive lineman. He's a throwing guy. That's about it. So then you look at the New York Football Giants. And Isaiah Likely's 3-year deal is probably the biggest impact there's going to be if he's healthy. He is a big tight end, big target for Jackson Dart. Theo Johnson, being the second one, works really, really well. The Giants don't have a ton of options because of Wan'Dale Robinson leaving. So I love the addition of Likely. Jordan Stout, the punter, 3-year deal. Came over from Baltimore. Tremaine Edwards, former Buffalo Bill, Chicago Bear. The Giants released Bobby Okereke and bring in Tremaine Edwards. Then they just signed Darnell Mooney to a 1-year deal worth $10 million. Okay. So do you hate Jackson Dart? Because my simple question here is, why would you sign a guy? Why would you sign a guy that has consistently just dropped the football? That's it. Consistently dropped the football. Why? I don't get it. They re-signed Jermaine Eluemunor, their offensive tackle, for 3 years. They also signed Calvin Austin away from Pittsburgh on a 1-year, $4.5 million deal. They re-signed Evan Neal to a 1-year deal. They signed running back from the Ravens, Patrick Ricard, to a 2-year deal. They signed Jason Sanders, the kicker, to a 1-year deal, which I think is a mistake, because if he kicks good over there in New York, he's going to get a bigger deal. And honestly, he's worth it. So they were able to re-sign Isaiah Hodgkins to a 1-year deal. They signed Adarius Washington, the safety, to a 1-year deal as well. Greg Newsome, the corner, was with Jacksonville and Cleveland. They signed him to a 1-year deal. Micah McFadden re-signed on a 1-year deal. Aaron Stinney re-signed a 1-year deal. Jason Pinnock, the safety, re-signed on a 1-year deal. So there's no longevity with it. That's my issue. There's no longevity with this. 1-year deal, 1-year deal, 1-year deal. I mean, the Giants are not a team that's only building for this year. I don't understand it. Now, Philadelphia Eagles. Rick Woolen, 1-year deal worth up to $15 million. They don't need a corner. They way overpaid for him, though. They way overpaid for him. Because his lack of consistency is why he wasn't getting offers. The former Seattle Seahawk had a very good rookie year. But he has been outrageously inconsistent, and he lost the starting job. And you paid somebody who lost the starting job a deal worth up to $15 million. Okay. Louis Riddick likes the signing. Yeah, but Louis Riddick really doesn't understand football because he just drank ESPN's Kool-Aid. I don't like the number. The signing is fine. The signing is completely fine. I don't like the number. Braden Mann re-signed their punter for a 4-year, $14 million extension. That was a great move. In Philadelphia, you don't lose punters that are amazing. You don't do it. You don't lose punters and you don't lose kickers that are really good. David Akers proved that forever. Johnny Munt, tight end, signed a 1-year deal. Grant Calcaterra signed a 1-year deal. Jonathan Jones, the corner, comes over to the Eagles, the 32-year-old veteran, on a 1-year deal. They also signed Dallas Goedert. So their tight end room is taken care of completely, barring injuries, but they're taken care of completely. Then they signed Arnold Abikati to a 1-year deal because they lost Jalen Phillips. Very typical Philadelphia Eagle. Cheap guy, hoping that the defensive scheme can put them in the position they need to be the best. The reason that they're signing them. All right, the Washington Commanders. Odafe Oweh signs a 4-year deal worth $100 million. It is a big number. Washington can afford to overpay a little bit. This, to me, is only about a $3 million a year overpay. I think he should have been around the 20 to 22. The 25 is a little bit high, but not bad. But they had cap room. You might as well. Your defensive front needs to be something. They are going to hopefully get Doris Armstrong back from the torn ACL. They did attempt to sign Jalen Phillips, lost out. Boye Mafe, they lost on that as well. Oweh is a very good player. Jim Harbaugh did not want to lose him on that defense at all. So I like the signing. Slightly wish it was a little bit less, but you can overpay when you got cap space. Very underrated signing. Rachaad White, the former Bucs running back, which was the starter before Bucky Irving took it over. And then last year when Bucky Irving got hurt, White was fantastic. Signed a 1-year deal for $2 million that could reach $4 million with incentives. Rachaad White got crowded out in Tampa Bay. And then Tampa Bay goes, well, we'll go to what they did here in a second. But they only had one running back under contract, Crosky Merritt. Now you've got Rachaad White and Crosky Merritt. Crosky Merritt is going to be the run. Rachaad White's going to be the pass. Thankfully, I already have him in multiple leagues in fantasy because he is going to be a PPR smorgasbord. Especially with the new offense they're going to run. Look for the Commanders to really look at what they're able to do. Could they still go Jeremiah Love? I don't think you should. You didn't give Crosky Merritt the opportunity to show. And at the end of the year, I mean, to be very clear, I almost won my fantasy football championship because I picked up Crosky Merritt. Because at the end of the year, very simple. Very simple. Very simple. It's that simple. So the way that everything plays out, I love it. Absolutely love it. 100%. So the White move is good. Leo Chenal, the former linebacker from the Kansas City Chiefs, 3-year deal worth $24 million. Basically 25. That's a good deal for a team that needs help badly at linebacker. Love it. Love it. Love it. Amik Robertson, the corner, 2-year deal worth $16 million with $9.3 million guaranteed. That's a very, very team-friendly deal. Rick Woolen, who lost the starting job, gets a year up to $15 million with the Eagles. Amik Robertson gets a 2-year deal worth $16 million with 2 years with the Commanders. That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. And that's why I said it's a little overpaid for Reek, but this one I like. They kind of underpaid as far as the league is concerned. Slightly got to underpay, and especially for a guy who is probably going to be a starter. They only got Trey Amos, Mike Sanistril, which Sanistril hopefully will improve. He really, really struggled last year. The Commanders are going to add more corners, that's for sure. They're going to absolutely have more corners. And, you know, that's what they got to do. Their defense was bad last year. They made another move. Flavion Chason, 1-year deal with the Commanders, worth $11 million, and he's got an upside to $12 million with incentives. And then a very underrated signing, one of the ones I absolutely love. Chig Okonkwo, signed by the Washington Commanders. Zach Ertz is no longer there. Chig, better mobility, much better at the screenplay. Chig is the guy that Jayden Daniels needs. I love this signing for Chig. The thing about Chig in Tennessee, like last year he dropped. Why? Well, because the head coach was a complete fool and an idiot. Then the coach gets fired. Then Mike McCoy comes in. He's just trying to get what he can set up out of it. He's just trying to get what he can set up out of it. And he's trying to make sure there's no big wildfires that happen. And to his credit, Mike McCoy kept the wildfires from happening and improved the team at the same time. That works. That works. So, with that, it all plays out. It all plays out really well. And Chig kind of got the raw end last year compared to what he had the previous year. Chig is really good. He's young. He gets a 3-year deal with Washington, gives them stability at the tight end position. Ertz has dealt with a ton of injuries over the last few years. You need stability. Young quarterback, new offense. I think Chig goes back to what he was 2 years ago. I like the move. Tim Settle Jr. signs a 3-year deal worth $24 million as a defensive tackle. Good move. Nick Cross signed a 2-year deal with Washington. I hate losing him, but it's a great move for Washington. De'Ami Brown re-signed a 1-year deal. Van Jefferson signed a 1-year deal. 2 receivers just kind of bringing in the fold. They still need somebody to go opposite of McLaurin. Charles Omenihu signed a 1-year deal up to $7 million. Marcus Mariota did re-sign. And then the former Browns running back, Jerome Ford, signed a 1-year deal. So now you got Krosky Merritt, you got Rachaad White, and you got Jerome Ford. Could they add another rookie? Absolutely. But honestly, I don't see them going. You're not going after Jeremiah Love. You're not going after Jeremiah Love if you're going to spend the money at the running back position. All right, Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears. Here we go. Safety Kobe Bryant signed a 3-year deal worth $40 million. Love that move. Devin Bush signed a 3-year deal worth $30 million at linebacker. Love the move. Neville Gallimore, 2-year deal worth only $12 million for a big defensive tackle in the middle of that defense. Great move. Khalif Raymond, they steal the Lions returner. Sneaky move. We've seen some of that this year. Khalif Raymond stays in division, goes to the Bears. Braxton Jones, the left tackle, 1-year, $10 million deal. Case Keenum, 2-year, $5.5 million deal. DeMarco Jackson, the linebacker, 2-year, $7.5 million deal. Daniel Hardy on a 2-year deal worth $5 million. Jedrick Wills. This is a really interesting one. They signed him to a 1-year deal. He's a 2020 first-round pick. But they also signed Braxton Jones. So my question is this. Are they just looking for depth, or are they looking to see whether or not Wills can take over for Jones? That'll be interesting to watch through the rest of the year. Contavious Street signs basically coming over from New Orleans. Defensive tackle, big defensive tackle in the middle. Cam Lewis, the former Bills corner, signed a 2-year deal. All right, the Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, they signed Isaiah Pacheco to replace David Montgomery, who they traded to the Texans. Pacheco isn't going to demand to be able to start. Pacheco's not a guy that's got the success or ability that David Montgomery has. It's actually a great move for the Lions. They needed to make sure they had a second back to be able to run things if Gibbs just needs a little bit of a break. Okay? Pacheco can be a change of pace back. In that offense, I think he will look better than the Kansas City offense, which was always in shotgun. So I do think he will look better. How good? Not really sure, but I know he will look better. All right, Cade Mays, the former Panther center, signed a 3-year deal. Frank Ragnow retired. Taylor Decker is released. So they did have a couple of holes on the offensive line. Cade Mays is a very good center. Great pickup for the Lions. Teddy Bridgewater comes back to be the backup to Jared Goff. They lost their original backup, Kyle Allen, who signed with the Buffalo Bills. Could they still draft a quarterback? Absolutely. Larry Borom, the offensive lineman from the Miami Dolphins, signs a 1-year deal for depth. Malcolm Rodriguez, the linebacker, 1-year deal, re-signing, coming back. Rocky Yassin re-signed a 1-year, $4 million deal to come back. Christian Izien signed a 1-year deal with the Lions, the safety. Tom Kennedy, the wide receiver. He is actually the longest tenured Lions player that they have. The 8th season here in Detroit, he is still there. Special team guy. So look for him to potentially take over their returning duties. Tyler Conklin, the former Los Angeles Charger, 1-year deal at tight end. Then Roger McCreary, the veteran corner, signed a 1-year deal to see if he can revive his career there in Detroit, because he was struggling in Tennessee. He really was struggling in Tennessee. We'll see if he can get it. Trevor Nowaski re-signed with the Lions, a depth special teams linebacker. You don't want to lose guys that can actually tackle on special teams. We've seen those plays change games quickly. All right, here we go. The Green Bay Packers now. Sean Ryan is staying in Green Bay, 3-year, $33 million deal. Big for them to keep their center. Javon Hargrave, they stole another one from inside the NFC North. 2-year deal worth $23 million at defensive tackle. They still got to recover from trading away Kenny Clark last year in the Parsons deal. Benjamin St-Juste, the former Charger corner, 2-year deal worth $10 million. Love the number. Very low risk. That's a fantastic number. 2-year, $10 million deal. Love that one. Darian Kennard returning on a 1-year deal. Brenton Cox Jr. coming back on a 1-year deal. Sky Moore, they lost Romeo Doubs. Sky Moore is not a replacement for Doubs. But they do have another wide receiver in the fold. One that doesn't seem to be as injured as much, maybe. We'll find out. Jonathan Ford is coming back on a 1-year deal, the defensive tackle as well. The Packers do need help at defensive tackle. That definitely is something they need. All right, the Minnesota Vikings, obviously the big one. 1-year, $1.3 million deal for Kyler Murray. This is what Justin Jefferson needed. This is what the Vikings needed. Now, they needed this type of deal last year so that McCarthy couldn't destroy what the season could have been. That is highly accurate. But the way that this plays out for them, absolutely. Absolutely. So I love this move. Long term, obviously, there's no fix here. They don't have cap space. Unless Kyler's going to be willing to really take a pay cut, they don't have cap space for this to re-sign him after this year. But I do believe with Brian Flores, the defense keeping a lot of key pieces. They had to get rid of a lot of pieces. Don't get me wrong. They had to get rid of a lot of pieces. But I do believe Kyler Murray gives them a much better shot to be able to win games. At least Justin Jefferson will be a fantasy option. He'll actually be a reliable fantasy option again because at least Kyler can get the ball thrown down the field. That's the big thing. All right, Eric Wilson returned to them, their inside linebacker, 3-year deal, $22.5. James Pierre, the former Steeler cornerback, 2-year deal worth $8.5. Tavierre Thomas re-signed, 2-year, $4.6 million deal. And they re-signed their long snapper, who is 38 years old. I love it. 38 years old on a 1-year, $1.725 million deal. I love it when long snappers are re-signed. Unsung heroes on the field. All right, the Atlanta Falcons signed Tua Tagovailoa, 1-year, $1.3 million deal. I'm not going to get into how I really think this is going to play out until we get to much later on. We got to get to the draft and everything else. It was a no-risk move. If Penix is out for the first 6 games, you now have a quarterback that you believe can at least run the offense efficiently the way you need it to be able to run for $1.3 million. No risk, potential high reward, very smart signing. And if you're going to move on from Penix, 2027 is the draft to do it in. So, we'll see. He's in a dome. He's in a dome for at least 8 games. He's in a dome for 1 more with the Saints. He's in Tampa Bay, Florida for another one. So there's at least 10 games a year that are in good weather, good conditions. And that's what you want with Tua. I like it. I like it. All right. Jahan Dotson, the former Eagle. This signing I like as a slot guy. 2-year deal, $15 million. I like it. The number's a little high for me. Definitely a little high. But I like the signing because they've not had a true slot guy that can do what Dotson can do. I like what Dotson brings. He's only 25 years old. He's now in a Kevin Stefanski offense, and we've seen tight ends and receivers come out of nowhere with Stefanski. I think Dotson is a sneaky signing by the Falcons. I do like what he can do. Jake Bailey, the former Dolphin punter, signed a 3-year, $9 million deal. They signed Austin Hooper to go alongside Kyle Pitts at the tight end position on a 1-year deal. Cameron Thomas, 1-year deal, $3 million. Deshaun Hand, defensive tackle, 1-year, $3 million. Channing Tindall, 1-year deal. Christian Harris, this one is a very underrated signing because Christian Harris is great on special teams, and the Falcons struggle with that sometimes. But he fits really well with what Jeff Ulbrich does. Christian Harris, spot filled in Houston, played very, very consistently. He does have injury issues. That's your fear if you're the Falcons fan base. You love the signing, but your fear is, but he's got injury issues. You're right. But if he's healthy, he's probably going to be one of your starting linebackers, and he is super quick. Super quick. All right. Olamide Zaccheaus. After they let Darnell Mooney go, they let Kadarius Hodge go. Now they've got Zaccheaus and Dotson seemingly right now as receivers 2 and 3. Azeez Ojulari. This is an interesting one because people thought that the Falcons were going to trade for him last year from the Giants. Never materialized. They get him on a 1-year deal, bring him into Ulbricht's system. Nick Folk, the former Jet, signed a 2-year deal. This should be so much better for them. So much better. He has been the most accurate kicker over the last 3 seasons in the NFL. 3 seasons. Not last year, not last 2, last 3. Folk has made 85% of his field goal kicks. We've got guys that are getting signed that have made 73 and 75. He's made 85, and he has not been under 95% since 2002. I think this is a good signing for the Falcons. Give them a little bit of stability at the kicker position. Corey Levin signed a 1-year deal. The former Titan center. Chris Williams, defensive tackle. They just needed depth. It's what they got. LaCal London, same thing. Defensive tackle, re-sign, needed depth. This one we'll find out about. Samson Ebukam. This, if he's healthy, see, I like the depth of what the Falcons are doing now. They've got depth on their defensive line a little bit. They still have a draft to go through, which is defensive player heavy. I like the depth. I like the rotation. If you can get a lead, this defense, I feel with Ulbrich, is going to be consistently bringing pressure. Jalen Walker is the only for sure one you've got right now because James Pierce, whatever. James Pierce's legal issues, not even going to get into. It could go really bad. So we're not going to get into it. But what the Falcons did is they got their depth on that defensive line. We got the depth on the defensive line. All right. Carolina Panthers, Jalen Phillips, 4-year, $120 million deal. Defense got even better. Kenny Pickett, 1-year, $7.5 million. Devin Lloyd, the linebacker, 3-year, $45 million deal. A little bit high, but not by much. I would have done 3 years at $13 million, so probably $40 million is what I would have done, so not bad. Luke Fortner, the center. They lost Cade Mays. They got Luke Fortner in. Stone Forsythe is a move-around offensive tackle. They were able to sign Rasheed Walker to a 1-year contract. This is big for their depth and big for their future. And then they signed John Mechie, the receiver, to a 1-year deal as well. The New Orleans Saints, well, we'll see what they end up doing because I don't know how they afforded all this. I really don't. None of the money makes sense from what has come out, so I don't know if they're hiding money or what they're doing. But David Edwards, the former Bills guard, young guard, 4-year deal with $45 million guaranteed and a $20 million signing bonus. Big deal. Travis Etienne signed a 4-year, $52 million deal with the Saints. Big deal. Caden Ellis, the linebacker, the former Atlanta Falcon, 3-year, $33 million deal. The Saints signed John Ridgeway to a 2-year deal, $6.2 million. They signed Ryan Wright, the former Viking punter, to a 4-year deal. And then they signed Noah Fant, the tight end, to back up Juwan Johnson to a 2-year deal. I don't know how the Saints have the money for this. Every year they're $45 million over the cap, and then somehow they end up signing these guys. I still don't know how. I don't understand it. But nonetheless. All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Alec Anzalone, I like this signing for the Buccaneers on defense. Solid tackler. They don't know what Levante David is doing yet. Makes sense. Get him in there. David's going to eventually need help and the ability to relax. Cade Otton resigns, which is big because I think he fits the Buccaneer offense. A'Shawn Robinson, the defensive tackle, he's a big boy. So they want to keep with being a very physical, run-stuffing defense. He helps with that. Al-Quadin Muhammad is an edge rusher. It's only a $6 million deal. I love the deal. I absolutely love the deal. They spent $14 million on Hassan Reddick last year. Don't forget that. I love this deal. $6 million for an edge rusher that potentially could get you 7 to 9 sacks. I love it. Jake Browning, here's where he goes. Now, do I think he's going to be able to improve underneath the Buccaneers offense? Doubtful. But if Baker Mayfield's injured, at least you've got a quarterback that can really throw the ball because Kyle Trask can't. Miles Kilbrew, the safety, easily. Special team guy, 1 year Pittsburgh, 1 year deal coming over from Pittsburgh. Now, the one that I question the most because of the number, 2 year, $14 million deal for Kenneth Gainwell. I think over time, eventually we learn just don't ever take anything in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is so well run up here and so dysfunctional at the team level, was absolute garbage. Kenneth Gainwell's constant success last year was swing passes out of the backfield because the Steelers were running 3 tight end sets. You're not running 3 tight end sets in a normal offense that's actually trying to win football games. 3 tight ends. They had Darnell Washington, Freiermuth, and Jonnu Smith on the field all at the same time. The only way to get around them if you're a corner is to be able to try to be slippery enough. And it's not easy. Gainwell, I don't understand the signing whatsoever. Bucky Irving is the bell cow. Clearly, he came back. He is the one. Sean Tucker, in my opinion, Sean Tucker may be better than Gainwell. Because Sean Tucker is a bruiser. I mean, he can pummel people. I don't get the money. I don't get letting Rachaad White go. Kenneth Gainwell, a lot of his success was because of how bad the Steelers are. Because the Steelers' offense was so dreadful. They're running 3 tight end sets, and it was all about they could block. Does he have speed? Yes. So what? A lot of guys on that Bucs team have speed. You got Ibuka out there. You got Godwin out there. Irving's already fast. Tucker's a bruiser. Like, yeah, we know the speed. But they're not playing the Bengal defense. They're not playing the Raven defense that has no pass rush. They're not playing the Cleveland Brown defense that only has Myles Garrett to where you can block him with 4 people and still keep the other people at bay. The Falcons are good. The Panthers defense is good. The Saints defense last year gave the Bucs absolute fits. Gainwell does not change any of that. Losing Mike Evans, that changes a lot. I know it's Ibuka's team. I see that. But you lost Mike Evans. I don't. That was the dumbest decision. Letting Mike Evans walk, because that is going to completely change your offense. The second dumbest decision is getting Kenneth Gainwell and not re-signing Rachaad White. Could have been much cheaper, and Rachaad White has been there through everything for you, and you're a fool. It was that simple. That was it. All right, last division, NFC West. All right, Arizona Cardinals. Isaac Seumalo, The former Steeler guard, 3-year deal, 31.5, starting on that offensive line, rebuilding it. Tyler Allgeier, 2-year deal worth $12.25 million. Even he got less than Gainwell, and he could be the starter in Arizona. He got less than Gainwell. I don't get it. Anyway, Kendrick Bourne, former 49er, agreed to a 2-year, $11.4 million deal. Gardner Minshew, 1 year, $8.25 million deal. So here's the thing. I don't know when Minshew's going to be able to play. I don't know if they're going to start Jacoby Brissett. I don't know if they're going to start Gardner Minshew. Minshew, I don't think is going to be ready for the start of the season. He may only be out 4 games because his was a partial tear, his knee surgery. I don't know what the Cardinals are doing at quarterback. It looks really odd. Let's just say that. Andrew Wingard, the safety, 1-year deal. Matt Pryor, the former Eagle guard, 1-year deal. They re-signed Bam Knight, 1-year deal. Chad Ryland, the longtime kicker, 1-year deal. Blake Gillikin, the punter, 1-year deal. LJ Collier back on a 1-year deal. Roy Lopez, the former Lion signed a 2-year deal. Congratulations, Roy. Congratulations on getting something more than one. Casey Creeder, the long snapper, the former long snapper, Aaron Brewer, is no longer there. Casey Creeder comes in, and they keep their punter and their kicker in Gillikin and Ryland. So hopefully Creeder does his job well. Starling Thomas, cornerback, 1-year deal. Jonah Williams, the defensive end, 1-year deal. Elijah Wilkinson, roaming offensive tackle, signed a 2-year deal. Simi Fioco, 1-year deal on the wide receiver position with the Cardinals. All right, the Los Angeles Rams. Jalen Watson, 3-year deal. They went after their secondary, trading for McDuffie, signing Jalen Watson. Then they re-signed Cam Curl, their safety, 3-year, $36 million deal. Tyler Higbee re-signed on a 2-year deal with the Rams. Joe Cardona and the Rams signed a 2-year contract. Their special teams last year was interesting. So they signed Joe Cardona as a long snapper. He's good. The operation should be much cleaner. And the Rams hopefully will not lose on field goals this year like they did last year. And won't miss out on stuff, like just the easy stuff. It was just bad. All right. San Francisco 49ers. Biggest deal, Mike Evans. They're releasing Brandon Ayuk. Jawan Jennings is no longer there right now. They've got Ricky Pearsall. They needed a big-time receiver. Mike Evans played 8 games last year. He's 32 years old. They gave him a 3-year deal worth $60.4 million. It's 1 year longer than what I would have done. I would have given him a 2. As long as there's no money you owe him in year 3, it can be safe. He absolutely helps the Niners. Absolutely helps the Niners. But only if they are healthy everywhere else. Because it can't be only him. Because if he's injured, you're running into the same rotation that they've been in for the last 3 years. Last year, Christian McCaffrey was healthy the whole season. Shockingly, Brock Purdy wasn't, but your backup was really, really good. And by the way, I'm still not off of Mac Jones being traded. The 49ers have been denying trade after trade after trade after trade request for Mac Jones. It's like 6 trade requests that I have read that have actually been legitimate offers, and they've said no. If Mac Jones gets a wind that he could be a starting quarterback somewhere else, you have to now. You have to. You've got to get your starting quarterback job because in 2027, you've got 10 quarterbacks that are coming out in the draft. You're not going to get another shot. You've got to take it now. If they want you, if you have an opportunity, you need to go get it. So look out for that situation. Mac Jones has been really nice, really professional. Reality is, if people want him to start, I'd be pushing. Get me out of here because next year there's no reason for anybody to trade for me. Nobody. No reason for anybody to trade for me with 10 quarterbacks coming out. All right, Dre Greenlaw, back to the Niners on a one-year deal, $7.5 million. Vidarian Lowe, the traveling offensive tackle, 2-year deal, $12 million. Nate Hobbs, easy signing, 1 year, $4.5 million deal for the cornerback. Jake Tonges comes back, 2-year, $8 million deal. Luke Gifford re-signed for a $5.3 million deal. Brett Toth, center, re-signed a 1-year deal. The 49ers re-signed Eddie Pinheiro, their kicker, to a 4-year contract. It's a big contract for Eddie Pinheiro. So congratulations to him. All right, Super Bowl champions. Super Bowl champions, Seattle Seahawks. Here we go. All right. Rashid Shaheed, big signing because Cooper Kupp isn't going to be able to be a lot. 3-year deal, $51 million. Now his health is a huge concern. Don't get me wrong, his health is a huge concern. It's $34.7 million guaranteed. I don't like that number. That is a really high number. So with all that in mind, I understand that. Cooper Kupp is slated to make $13.5 million in 2026. It will be the last year of Cooper Kupp sitting in Seattle. That is for sure. So if you're worried about injuries, yeah. But if you love what you see because he's fast and it works in this offense, 100% worth the signing. All right, Josh Joby's coming back, 3-year deal, $24 million. Emmanuel Wilson is coming over from the Packers, take the place of Kenneth Walker. 1-year deal worth $2.1 million. I bet you they get somebody else too. Watch for that. Josh Jones resigns on a 1-year deal. Chris Stoll, their long snapper, resigns a 2-year deal. Brady Russell, the fullback, resigns on a 2-year deal. Brandon Peely, the defensive tackle, re-signed a 1-year deal. Rodney Thomas, the former Indianapolis Colt, comes over on a 1-year deal, the safety. Jake Bobo, he's a tendered free agent, so they got first refusal if he gets offered. Bobo will be back with the Seattle Seahawks. I think that's a good move. I think that's a simple move. DeAnthony Bell signed their safety to a 1-year deal as well. All right. NBA news. Here we go. So the first vote for the expansion, you guys have heard me talk about this plenty. The first vote for the expansion is going to be coming up next week. This is huge. They're looking at 2 cities. They're looking at Las Vegas and Seattle. Now, both of those teams would obviously be Western Conference teams. So the thing that will have to be played out is who moves to the East. That's the question. Who moves to the Eastern Conference? There's 2 options. 2 options. The Memphis Grizzlies. That's one option. Or the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's the second option. Now, in proximity to location, Minnesota makes the most sense. Because Memphis is down there with New Orleans, and San Antonio, Houston, etc. They're down there. But Memphis is closer to Indianapolis. Memphis is, it's a drive, but it's not a bad drive. It's only a, 5.5, 6 hour drive to Memphis from Indianapolis. It's a 10-hour drive to Minneapolis. But Milwaukee's right there. So they're close to Milwaukee, roll around and become part of the Central Division. Memphis would probably do the same thing, unless they put them in the division with the Hawks, the Hornets, the Magic, and the Heat. But that's what you're going to have to decide. And the thing is, the Timberwolves makes the most sense when you look at the divisions. So, something that, when I'm looking at everything as a whole. The Minnesota Timberwolves, remember, the Thunder used to be the Seattle Sonics. This could actually cause a complete change in the divisions. Here's how. Las Vegas comes in. Las Vegas could move to the Pacific Division and kick the Suns over to the Southwest with the Mavericks, Pelicans, Rockets, Spurs. The Northwest, we know, is going to get Seattle. Seattle is definitely going to be up there. The question is, where would Las Vegas go? If you move Memphis over, watch this, if you move Memphis over to the Eastern Conference, you could then move the Oklahoma City Thunder from the Northwest to the Southwest, which means now Oklahoma City is playing Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, and New Orleans. And then you could put the Las Vegas team in either the Northwest or the Pacific. You could move them either way. Either way. Seattle goes Northwest. Oklahoma City moves to the Southwest. Memphis moves to the East, which doesn't strengthen the East at all. I get that. Minnesota moves to the East. Minnesota is going to be a top 3 team immediately. Fully agree. Fully agree. But I think that's how the expansion will work. None of those teams are on the East, and there is a lot of support for this now because they feel like they need to bring in cities that have revenue. Las Vegas is getting everything. The WNBA team has had a ton of success, packed out in attendance. Football team, first draft pick's going to be Fernando Mendoza. It's huge. The Athletics are moving to Las Vegas. They've got a hockey team who won the Stanley Cup. Las Vegas is a vibrant city, and it's a lot better for sports teams than originally thought. And the reality is, and think about this, NBA arenas are only 18 to 20,000 people. The amount of fans needed to support the team is a lot less than an NFL team. Now, an NFL team obviously is only 10 weeks, 9 or 8 weeks a year. And I get that. But there's a lot of people that'll be able to support The NBA does this really well. I think it will work. And if they go with their new anti-tanking thing, these expansion teams would get the first and second round pick back-to-back years. First year they'd be 1-2 one way, the next year they'd be 1-2 another way. That's how you build a team. That's how you get a team off the ground. And the rest of the league can't just tank to get a top 1 or 2 spot, which I love. That would be awesome. You take that away. That'd be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But it's gaining support. It needs 23 votes of the 30 owners. It needs to be passed. It needs 23 of 30, and it will be approved by the end of the year. It'll be approved or denied by the end of the year. Vitally, vitally important. But that is going to be next week. If it gets through the initial phase, look out. Look out. That is a dangerous thing. A dangerous thing. Because the NBA has been struggling, but a little bit of new blood could give the NBA a bunch of false sense of security. So it is slightly dangerous, but I love it because I've been saying Seattle needs a team and Las Vegas needs a team for a while. I think St. Louis for the East would be a great spot. Look at what the Battlehawks do. Look at what the Blues do. Look at what the Cardinals do. If you stop worrying about the little stuff, it could absolutely work. Absolutely work. All right. You know what? That is going to be it for me today. We're going to go through NCAA March Madness. I do have a bracket going in Sleeper. I do have a bracket going in Sleeper. All picks have to be locked in Wednesday night for the bracket. And I did it last year. I won my bracket poll last year. It's free. I'll never do any money. You know, I never deal with all that. We have one money league that we do a year, and that's it. So completely free. March Madness, I absolutely love it. I got another one that I was actually invited to last night that's a little bit different. It's actually a fantasy March Madness. It's really cool how the guy set it up. Maybe I'll tell you about it tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet because I got a bunch of other stuff going on, obviously, as well. So I do love it right now. This time of year, college basketball March Madness is just so exciting, and I cannot wait for this weekend. I cannot wait for this weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is what I love. 4 games at a time, all playing. These kids going all out. This is their dream. We got new teams. We'll go over all that tomorrow. I'm not giving you my bracket till Wednesday. Kidding me? I don't even know who I'm picking yet. I kind of do. But I don't even know who I'm picking yet. We'll go over that on Wednesday. All right. As always, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. If you want to join the Yahoo Fantasy Baseball League, which drafts Saturday, let me know. Hit me up. I got room. Guys are coming in, though, so hit me up for that and get in. It's only a 12-team league, so not going outrageous there. Obviously, fantasy football season is done. I've got different leagues that have spots open. I don't actually have that many. I really don't. I don't have that many at all. So I think I've only got between the 16 football leagues. I think right now I only have 3 or 4 spots open right now. So it was a really good year. We got a bunch of people already replaced because we had people sitting in the background. But not that many spots open. So that works. All right, guys, make it the best day you can. Listen, yesterday it was 71 degrees and I was riding my motorcycle. And right now it is 28 degrees and it's snowing. Yeah. It was bad last night. The wind was bad. The snow came in around 3:30 in the morning, and it dropped. Conditions were bad this morning, but, So be safe out there. Be careful. Stay safe. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share the podcast with a friend. As always, I deeply appreciate it. Till next time, guys, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I'm out. See you guys tomorrow.